Yes.
Okay, those are the developments. Stay with me, Abdul, as we get more details that are coming out of Karnataka. Arrests happening meanwhile in neighboring Tamil Nadu as well. Let me open up this conversation. Joining us on the broadcast, we have Tahir Hassan, who's an author activist. Ashwini Dubey joining us. He's a lawyer. Major Mohammad Ali Shah is also with us. He's an Impar media panelist. Now, let me put this into context for those of you watching this broadcast. There is an attempt that is made in this country that every time we are seeking practical closure, and the practical closure has to come through certain acceptance of some systems. Every time that we are seeking practical closure, there are people trying to vitiate the atmosphere. They don't want the closure to happen. It very rarely has anything to do with the particular subject at hand. So it's honestly, now it's got nothing to do with the hijab. This is about trying to create a crisis in the country. So you're trying to pressurize judges by other means. Okay? Why do we want to be in a situation where judges have to be given security for giving a ruling? Right? And the lesson you learn here is that once we move on, and India has this capacity of moving on, the same thing didn't happen in the Ayodhya verdict, right? No security had to be given the Supreme Court judges just because they came and gave a ruling. Nothing happened post facto. So that's the truth about India. Then there are people who are trying to manufacture a crisis. Major Shah, now, what do you think is going on? Something dodgy is happening for sure.
Rishabh, it is really sad and it is unfortunate that people as Supreme Court judges are given this threat, and to the extent that people are fall to the extent of saying that we know where he goes for walks, to the extent of citing an example, a case of 28 July last year in Jharkhand, what had happened. So it is really ridiculous, it's really sad. It is definitely, as you rightly brought out, it is to disturb the atmosphere of the country, and because I see that these are empty threats, they will not really go anywhere, but yet they have to be taken very, very seriously. My father has been a judge in the Armed Forces Tribunal after he retired from the army. I used to come home with trunks of but I never saw him with any gunmen or any security there. And we come from a family of who are in the judiciary, but never has this case happened. Now, if this continues, thereafter there will be a time when these people who are actually giving this threat, they will be at a loss themselves, because then no judge would be in a position to take up these cases, these issues, and these cases would keep on they would only hang. They would be pending in the Supreme Court for years thereafter. Now, when this case goes into Supreme Court by a petitioner who was not there in the initial 5 girls who had petitioned earlier, yes, so now this case will remain hanging. No judge would want to come forward and take it up. So it's definitely
well, that's the attempt. I don't think that's going to happen, but yeah, that's the attempt, right? I mean, and moreover, it seems to be, Ashwini Dubey, that somebody wants to keep this pot boiling for intents and purposes best known to themselves. The question is, what is in the accountability that we do? Because after a point, this is what's happened. This is the logic. There's a process in the Supreme Court which can continue, and after that, we accept certain things and move on with life. As a country, we need to learn how to move on. But some people don't want us to move on. I mean, Ram Mandir, we kept on going for 120 years, was it? Okay. So now somebody wants to keep this hijab thing pot boiling. How do we identify the somebodies? Who are these people?
It's very, very common. They are commonly identified. They are the people who are supporting these students, who are brainwashing these students. They are the people who are not believing in the Constitution of India and rule of law. They want to create the law of the ruler. Here, you see, they proclaimed loud and clear that they believe in the Constitution and judiciary. But see their reactions when judgment is against their agenda and spirit. This amounts to interference in the justice delivery system. When judgment is not in their favor, they issue threats, call for a ban, and issue a statement that court should not have interfered in the matters of religion. You see, Honorable Justice Sindhu Malhotra was threatened by the Sikh for Justice when she was made a chairman to look into the Prime Minister beach. Number 2, judge of Jharkhand was killed while he was in the morning because certain important matters were before him. Justice Ganju of Kashmir, when he was trying the radicals, the militants and terrorists, he was killed. justices of Honorable High Court now has been issued threats who have been widely by considering the various aspects, thousands of years of practice before and other aspect that hijab had described as part of is not the part of the essential religious practice in Islamic faith protected under Article 25 of the Constitution. The court has found when ruled that uniform is legally prescribed.
Dr. Dubey, we know what the court has ruled. So the premise is a straightforward one. Do we feel grateful for this country that a bunch of people who do these kind of things don't really have an impact? I mean, you spoke about the Bandh. In the end, what happened? It was restricted to a certain area of one single city in Karnataka. Okay. The attempt was to, of course, to have it all over India. Nothing happened, right? These threats are being made. Do we give them credibility or do we treat them just as fanatics?
The fanatics, what kind of credibility? They don't need credibility when there is a judgment. You see, the judiciary is one of the topmost organ of the Constitution of India. When Indira Gandhi's election was declared null and void, she did not. We started protest. Congressmen did not protest inside all over the country and started burning the government properties. But here, exactly what happens when CAA passes, they block the roads. When the farmers' agitation takes place, these radicals support from backside. When sometime in the name of various other agendas, on the one hand they approach to the court of law, saying that this is my constitution which protects us. At the same time, they take it to the road. What happened in Jamia? What happened in AMU? It's not the first instance.
Yeah, but I keep buying into the premise that what happened in Jamia, what happened in JNU. Again, vast majority of people don't get involved. Okay, and sometimes we give too much screen time and credibility to exactly the wrong kind of elements. Tahira Hassan joining us on the broadcast. Tahira ji, a ruling has come. Okay, we know that is being challenged before the Supreme Court. And another ruling will come. It'll take a few weeks, but we will have closure. Obviously, some people will be satisfied, some people will be dissatisfied, but there is closure. We saw that in Ayodhya also. There is closure. There was no problem. Country moved on. What do we do? How do we identify or speak out? Or do we ignore these guys, fanatics? Because when they are making these kind of insane threats. And security has to be provided on the basis of those threats. What do we do?
These threats I condemn in very strong words, that how can in the largest democracy that is run by constitution, people are taking law and order in their hand, they are threatening to justice. I think what the police is doing, what the investigation agencies are doing, and that earlier one of the speaker was talking, but he was trying to blame only one community. Don't blame one community. These people who are threatening, they don't belong to any religion, because there's no religion in the world that teaches you to indulge in violence and crime, So the people who are doing this, they are criminals, you can say. They are sick-minded people. You cannot do like that. You say that, no, this is what they have done. They have done CA, they have done this time, that time, this university, that university. Sir, this is a democracy, largest democracy. We are proud of it, that is run by the Constitution, Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar's Constitution. Here only we don't have a right to vote. We have right to protest. We have right to dissent. But no violence should be involved.
Okay, but Tahira Hassan, here's exactly the problem, right? I mean, where we began in this conversation was a few weeks ago about girls wanting to go to school, some of whom wanted to continue wearing a hijab and wanted to argue that, listen, we should be allowed to do so. That's where the conversation began. The conversation is now providing Y category security to judges. So the conversation has become different. I don't think the girls are out there on the streets threatening to kill judges. Somebody else is. How do we identify the somebody else?
Who are these people? Who are these people? This is democracy run by constitution. Law of the lands are there. Who are these people are doing? Why they are not behind the bar? Why they don't have any fear of law? If they will be not punished, they will get away after doing this. They will create more problem. More divisive politics will come forward. They must be put behind the bar, whoever they are.
Okay, so there are two things going absolutely wrong here. There are two things going absolutely wrong here.
Don't talk about any community, whoever they are.
Yeah, I agree. So there are two things going absolutely wrong here. Major Muhammad Ali Shah, number one is that there clearly does exist, individuals, groups of people who have been brainwashed enough to think that they can do fanatical things. Number two, there also now exists a paradigm that the most crazy, insane, anti-constitutional thing that you do, the more popular you become, the more infamous that you become. Now, both these things have to be fought. How do we fight them?
Very interesting question, Rishabh. Now, firstly, I would just taking Tahira's point a bit further. Who are these people? How do we fight them? We have our system in place. We have our security agencies in place. We have our intelligence. We have our IB. We have the police in place. What are they doing? Now, when the Chief Minister Basaraj Bomnai, he has given an order of a YA plus security to the judges. Yes, Chief Justice Rituraj Avasthi should be, and either ways, I see no reason why a judge, just because he has to give a verdict, has to be given security. That is like very ridiculous. Now, also, when lawyer Umapati S, when he received the video message on WhatsApp, I think it's rather foolish of whoever has given the video message in Tamil from Madurai, so to say, when Jamal Muhammad Usmani along with somebody else is arrested. It's very easy, if I have to join the dots, to actually get it from where did the message originate. It's not very difficult to get hold. If the police wants to arrest that person, they can arrest it, and they should be brought to the book. Because if they are not brought to the book, what will happen is people, Muslims in per se, do not support this kind of nonsense. We are very law-abiding citizens, and in fact, we have spoken that, yes, whether the ruling has come even against hijab, one should be honored. One should respect the judiciary, and one should just take it forward from there. Because either hijab or kitab, which is more important, the kitab.
Okay. So Ashwini Dubey, how do we then work? Okay, one is to say punish, but people who've been brainwashed in two things. Number one, that they are fanatical enough to think that they can issue death threats against members of the Indian judiciary. Number two, that even some warped philosophy is telling them that okay, we do this, we keep the issue alive, and we are somehow martyrs to the cause if we get arrested. How do we unbrainwash?
For that the people sitting on TV and lecturing and not accepting and admitting the fact that the interested parties are those who are protesting that the people, certain students, their hijab is over the kitab. Who are those people? Those people are Tawheed Jamaat. Who are the people? Popular Friend of India. Who are those people? Who has conveyed a press conference? Do we have seen any condemnation that the people who are sitting on television and portraying that arrest karo un logon ko, kaun se log hai wo? क्या हमने कभी देखा? Those people have issued a statement stating the constitution's allegiance, and the school is a place
But Dr. Dubey, then why don't we come across? Hang a second, ma'am. Tahira ji, I'm coming to you in a second. Dr. Dubey, then why don't we come across and present the evidence that these are these organized groupings that are perpetuating these kind of things, who are brainwashing younger people, and then take organized action against them? Because arbitrarily saying it is not going to achieve anything. Tahira ji, coming to you in a second. Dr. Dubey.
That's the question. The school is a place. The college is a place of academic excellence, where uniform makes everyone.
No, but this is not about the school. No, this is not about the three girls and whether they joined an organization or not. This is about a group of people who think that they can become either infamous or martyrs to the cause by issuing death threats. And if you say that they are organized, this is not individual action, that they are organized, whether it is PFI or somebody else, then what is the collective action that needs to be taken?
That those organizations, first instance, that the office bearer of those organizations should be held accountable. One, the people who are the front runners of a community should condemn them, openly condemn them, instead of saying that the constitution is supreme, and on the one hand they said that the religious laws derived from the religious scriptures are supreme. At the same time, Ram Mandir was accepted by everyone. Still there are few people who doesn't accept the verdict, unanimous verdicts of Honorable Supreme. It should not be taken.
Well, they don't accept the verdict and have a strong opinion, they're welcome to hold the opinion. To go and brainwash others or issue death threats, there's a difference between the two. Tahir Hassan wanted to make a point. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm saying we are condemning what Ashwani ji is saying. We are condemning. I am saying that don't just divide them into the brackets, keep them in brackets like Hindu or Muslim. I mean, whoever is talking about the violence, punish them. This country is run by the constitution. And who is stopped? Who stopped the government?
Okay, Tahir Hassan, what would be a reasonable reaction and what would be an overreaction?
no, this is, we all are saying, but what Ashwani ji is saying, he just dragged Aligarh and dragged everything. We never dragged Bulli-Ab, Sulli-Ab, where the women were put on auction. We are not saying, we are not painting one community in the same paint with brush. So why he is talking? It is because we believe in unity and diversity, and we are the largest democracy. The soul of this country is what?
Okay, so here's the problem. Okay, so I think you hit the nail in the problem. I have the same problem, ma'am. You're not alone. We are all at the same problem. Major Mohammad Ali Shah, here's the problem. That people who are reasonable, logical, rational, moderate, these moderate voices are now being subsumed by people who have extreme opinions or take extreme actions. The fatwa givers get more precedence than you and Tahira ji or Ashwani ji preaching logic. If we are facing an era where the centrist moderate voices are being subsumed, what do we do to fight back?
Rishabh, whoever these extremists, whoever these people are, I really, in fact, Tahira ji will also agree with me, and we totally rebuke them. We do not identify ourselves with them at all. We totally distance ourselves from them completely. Now, what are the law enforcement agencies doing? They should have been the first ones to get a hold of them and make an example out of them. They should be the first ones to actually come out and say that, because I've wrote an open letter. Let's talk about the whole community gets, like Ashwani ji was saying, the whole community gets branded them by the same brush. I wrote an open letter to Jaish-e-Mohammed, the terrorist outfit. You read that letter, in fact, when the Fulham attacks took place. And there I've rebuked. When Mohammad Ali Shah comes out and rebukes them, it makes some difference. When Rishabh Gulati calls out to them, it would make some difference.
But Major Shah, this is the problem, right? So we are being subsumed, and the subsumation is happening in this matter because if you are releasing a film in this country that's prelude to some sort of Muslim genocide in India, we are told. On the other side, we are told, no, Islamic radical takeover of India is almost imminent. Their Ghazwa Hind is almost imminent. Why? Neither of which is true.
Why? Hind is totally rubbish. It's totally bunkum, and we rebuke that completely. I do not, in fact, I'm sure Tahira ji will have the same viewpoint as mine.
Yes, I agree with you.
It is complete bunkum. I know it's like, it is some, I don't know where people make up something, and it's a way to beat up the community. And when people from any community come and take extreme views, extreme thoughts, the thought process.
Okay, so why is it so easy? Why is it so easy that no matter what happens, something incidental take place, Ashwani Dubey, in the end we go back to 1905 and a two-nation theory. Why has it become so easy? Why is that still our weakness?
I did not speak anything against the community first, let me clear. I did not use the word of community. I said those people, the people sitting who are the front runners of the society, who are the voices of the society of different religions, they should condemn it outrightly. When we see that there is allow me to complete in 30 seconds, please don't interfere, ma'am, allow me to complete. When there is a law in place, there is a constitution in place, and the constitution says that one state has right to make law. Why these people does not come and say that look, law made by the state government shall prevail?
Yeah, but Dr. Dubey, my question is, your argument is sound. I'm not debating your argument. My question is, if there exists a bunch of people, and we now know they exist, they might be semi-organized, they might be highly organized, it might be coincidental, it might be arbitrary, but there are a group of people who morning, evening, night, the only thing they think about is how do we create religious disharmony in this country. That's all they're thinking about, okay? They're not interested in the hijab, they're just looking for a cause, all right? How do we counter them? I mean, you've said condemnation, you've heard the condemnation, but the condemnation is coming from the voices which are reasonable. There are going to be unreasonable voices, who won't speak on these matters. You know who they are. What do we do with them?
We should teach our children that the allegiance in the constitution, integrity to the nation, the common uniform, common syllabus, common culture, unity in diversity is supreme. And first thing, and the second thing, they should be kept constitution over the religion. Third thing, they should be taught that when you go to the because where is nurture? The students are nurtured. The primary place of nurturing is our home as well as the schools. That we should say that we should give everyone equal rights. We should not bifurcate on the basis of religion, thought. And whenever we see these kind of radicals of any religion coming forward, we should condemn out, and we can't have two theory कि हमको उनके sleeping partners भी बने रहे और हम उसके बाद condemn भी करें. We can't be, मतलब कि we have to outrightly reject that violence, saying that this particular organization is against the Constitution of India. नाम लीजिए ना उस organization का, किस organization और ये लोग गलत कर रहे हैं. We should condemn them.
No, but how is it? So, question is, how is it going to happen? Now, one thing which Major Mohammad Ali Shah is a part of, this IMPAR panel which was set up. Okay. I have promised you, Ashwani Dubey, that there was a time where I, as a TV journalist 6-7 years ago, would pick an issue, okay, and the easiest debate to do was have somebody with tilak, have somebody with topi, and let them scream at each other, okay. Subsequently, all these maniacal voices that talk all nonsense, they make great television, but they talk all nonsense. For years, they haven't appeared here on NewsX. You get Tahiraji, you get Major Shah. You get people who talk, they have a strong opinion, they're not subtle people, they have a strong opinion, but they talk with reason and rationale. So there are Hindus in this country, there are Muslims in this country, Sikhs in this country, the vast majority who talk with reason and rationale. The problem here, Major Mohammad Ali Shah, is that we have a younger generation, okay? We have to understand that they have other mediums these days, WhatsApp forwards and it's Instagram and it's, I don't know how much of Facebook anymore. And there is an attempt made to create a psychosis fear. Now take the example of what happened in JNU. Somebody mentioned JNU here, right? We took one guy who was, a local student leader, made him so infamous that he became a CPM ticket bearer to contest elections. He lost, but he became a CPM ticket bearer. So the lesson learned by these student leaders was the more provocative things you do, the more famous you become. How do we unlearn that lesson, Major Shah?
Unfortunately, Rishabh, what you said is very, very true. And in fact, there was a time when Neha Dhupia had spoken over almost 2 decades back that only sex and Shah Rukh Khan sells. And now it's the other way around. Now it's hate sells. Unfortunately, the more hate on social media, the more claps one gets. It's very sad from either side. And I'm not talking about one particular community, from both sides. Now, how do we counter that? You gave a very good example about 5-6 years back. You found people, somebody sitting with a beard and skull cap, and somebody with a tilak, and they'll sit and scream, and that would be considered good journalism. And I'm really glad, and I congratulate you and your channel for good leadership, for actually getting balanced and mature, sane views on your channel, actually speak about, because it's very, very important. These are opinion builders. People who hear us, they will actually form their opinions based on what they see on television. They get influenced. People get influenced by these things. So now how do we counter that? We counter it by the way you are moving ahead. That's our only way. Yes, unfortunately, we are a minority. We have had a discussion earlier. They said, not community, we are a minority in the sense of sane journalism over here. That's why you can have Ravan journalism where you have 10 people sitting on a panel with skull caps and tilak and only one person talking and they're shouting at each other, and it would be good entertainment and good TRP.
No, but it's great TV, no, because I don't understand. Tahiraji, why are we still consumed? Why does everything, no matter what you do, okay, it comes down to Hindu-Muslim. What has happened? Have we been brainwashed so well for the past 120 years?
No, they are a group, they are a group that is, I think that is increasing nowadays. That is a bunch of people, fringe elements, they are injecting poison, to young generation directly in their vein, So these people who are just posting videos or whatever on the Instagram or is giving this type of speeches, why they are not put behind the bar? This is my question to Ashwani ji. We have IPC, we have the laws, so why they are not put behind?
Yeah, but this is the irony. I don't have a solution, but I'm asking the question because you know what happened, Tahiraji, with JNU. You arrested those people, and they, it became an even bigger controversy. So this is the trap. Okay,
but
now,
they were arrested, no? They were arrested.
Okay.
They were arrested. So arrest them. Who are these people?
Okay, so this is, but it is a trap, and I'm trying to figure out what is the solution. There is no easy solution.
Arrest them.
There's obviously no easy solution. Ashwini
and
Dubey.
the police should also do that.
Ashwini Dubey, let me go into the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario, Dr. Dubey, is that there were a bunch of girls in Karnataka who never had a problem with the hijab. This is the worst case scenario. I don't know the truth, but the worst case scenario, that they happen to join or get in touch with somebody from an organization that forced them that, listen, take up this issue, will become big. These things can happen, may have happened, may not happen, but can happen. In that scenario, then these girls become innocent victims if they are being lectured, brainwashed, coerced into doing something that they initially weren't wanting to do. They are young girls. Somebody has to go and then speak to them rationally, ideally other Muslim women. So when the concept of de-brainwashing, of not letting extremist elements on any side get the better of us, how do we structurally win this Vishwas?
This Rishabh bhai, very valid point, and I think that this is the crux of this discussion. And instead of offending anyone, we must teach a lesson inside our houses that, look, you have to become progressive. You have to have confidence in the system of this country. You have to keep constitution above your religion, and we have to believe in the unity in diversity, because it's an Indian diversified country. One. Second, we have to see that the judgments passed by the judges and the legal system to be kept paramount. And if we go to the judicial system of this country, and as and when any judgment comes, we should not attack it unless and until we nurture them from primarily from the house. Unless we have to nurture them. One. Second question you asked, that everything was right since 2004 when the law came until 2022, but all of a sudden this hijab controversy came into picture. See, everything was right. Moment few people with vested interest, those sometime.
No, so who are these people? The vast majority of us, Dr. Dubey, have a job to do. We have to earn a living. Okay, we have our friends and we have our family and we have things to lead an ordinary life. The vast majority of us, we are not obsessed by creating this kind of Bharat and that kind of Bharat. But there are a group of people who do these kind of things. Now, if we are told that a movie has come out, okay, on Kashmiri Pandits, and that movie is a prelude to Muslim genocide in India, that's all nonsense. Somebody's talking nonsense. Everybody is not keeping weapons at home, getting ready for one genocide one way or the other. None of this nonsense is taking place, but we are told it's happening. Now, who are these people telling us, and how do we excommunicate them to the fringes where they deserve to belong? Tahira ji, quick interjection, then you take a break.
Yes, I'm saying, Ashwani ji, the Muslim communities already, there is literacy level is very, very low, So at least let them educate, give them education. Their right to education is their fundamental right, should not be denied. Let them complete this year at least. Who is sufferer? Sufferer are these poor girls. These people are not sufferer who are behind it, whoever you are talking. They should be punished, no doubt. But the girls, I appeal from your channel that please, you don't hamper your studies. Complete your this year. Go for the exam. Because that is also very important.
Okay, Dr. Dubey, now you met at least one member of Impar. Okay, we need an effort where Muslim voices in this country, especially when it comes to Muslim women, go out there, can have firm opinions, but those voices need to be identified better. We are struggling at it. So therefore, the most nonsensical people become the most famous, and people get emotional. Things happen. We are human beings. You get emotional sometimes. And then you do things that you otherwise would not have done. But when somebody explains to you rationally, you can calm down. Vast majority of us want to get on with our lives. These kids want to join startups and want to make careers. Everybody is not trying to do Kranti. This is the problem here. Now, I'm going to appeal to our guests who are watching us, people, viewers, audience watching us. All of us have to understand that if we get subsumed by people talking nonsense, okay, just because it's provocative, we are doomed. Okay? Listen to people who talk logic and rationale, not people who are telling you that one way or the other, we are all going to die.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.